Hey people, welcome to another episode of Is Word with Gloria. I hope we're all doing great. And today I just want to continue on the topic we started last week, which was on dealing with grief and loss. And today I just want to talk more about the dangers of dealing with grief and loss. And one of the major and deadly, deadly, when I mean deadly impacts of dealing with grief and loss, it's depression. And if you're not able to deal with it in the proper way, it can fall into deep depression. And this is something that is life threatening. Not many people have survived dep- depression. Some people end up committing suicide, some people end up becoming mentally deranged. So this is something that if we don't address, it's very, very easy to go the other way around that we didn't budget or plan for. So today I just want to talk about depression and also share my personal story. Like I said, I will always share with you my personal experience just to encourage us. And one of the things I can say that really helped in dealing with the grief I suffered, like I said, the loss I suffered, was the fact that I had friends around me who encouraged me. Other than the fact that I dwelled on the word of God, I prayed, I did a lot of worship, like I said, and I'm still doing. Some friends who had gone through what I went through, speaking with them and them calling and always checking on me really helped me in getting out of the depression I was going through at that time. And like I said, loss is something nobody planned for and it happens unexpectedly. Like, so it's, you can't know how strong you can be until something has happened to you, until you've worn those shoes. And I remember a friend of mine some weeks back, before I lost my dad, she had lost her mom. And I remember talking to her on the phone and I was just telling her, oh, don't worry, Ngozi, everything is fine. Don't worry, mommy has gone to rest, you'll be fine and everything. So when my dad's own happened, and she called me and I was just crying on phone and I was apologizing to her because I just realized that I was like, it felt like everything I said to her when as happened was inadequate. Like I said, no, because is this what you went through? Is this the kind of pain you went through? And I was saying all that to you and I just kept apologizing to her because like nobody wants to accept that your parents are they've gone home to rest and all that and everything. So I just felt at that point everything I was saying when I was going through mine, it just made me realize that everything I said to her was like nonsense. That's how it appeared to me. And I just kept apologizing to her. She was just encouraging me that don't worry, you'll be fine and everything. And I had another friend also, one is we all went to the same high school, and she too had lost her dad last year. And our own, when her dad was sick and everything, at least I was in the know. She was calling me to know the update to when he gave up in the hospital. So it was then I just realized, God, this is what my friends went through and everything. And she too, she just kept calling me just to encourage me, and every day she would check up on me. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Gloria, just talk about it. Like, you just have to talk about it, because she has it her badly. Like, she too, she's another daddy's girl. And talking with her, really, I had someone I could grieve with. And also I had other close friends also that knew my dad one on one, and me crying over the phone with them because they broke in tears when I told them, because they knew how close I am my dad, and they were part of those close moments I had with my dad, Uchina Karan, and all those people. Like they grieving with me on the over the phone really made it easy for me. Like I even had a friend too, she would just say talk, like she didn't even need to say anything to me. She would just be on phone and allow me to cry, and that's blessing. And she just allow me cry and everything. And I just realized that expressing myself and having people who knew how close my dad was to me and helping me like to pour out my heart, and they were there to allow me cry even with the distance. Like it wasn't a barrier for them to share that grief with me, really helped me. And like I said, so many people who called in to share encouraging words. My friend Lola, her mom also called me, like speaking to me. Then my aunties, my uncles, my siblings, my mom, so all those people calling in to check up on me, talking to me really helped me. like to get out of that depression. And I know that every time I spoke to someone, I felt better. And I said that there are days where you think you're stronger, and there are days when it will come all over again. At a point, I started dealing with fear again. Like, please, God, don't let me lose my mom, because my mom's health was really affected when this whole thing happened. She was going in and out of the hospital because of her blood pressure. And there was this sudden fear that came upon me. And all this while, I've been praying for her. That's where I was dealing with the fear, like praying for her and asking friends to help me join me in faith and pray along concerning my mom's health and all that and everything. But there was this day that I just felt I couldn't take this anymore. Like, I can't faith it anymore, because I've just been trusting God and believing that all is well, all is well. But this day I just really felt like I needed to talk to someone. So, and the Spirit of God just dropped in my mind to call this other friend of mine, Tochi, back home. And I just called her, and I just told her how I felt. I told her everything, the fears I was dealing with, the anxiety I was dealing with. And at that point, even I had gotten into depression, because the fear was just pulling me down, like pulling me down. And I told her, I said, it's not as if I doubt that God is faithful. I doubt that God can answer my prayers. But I'm just asking, I'm just scared that I don't want this to happen again and someone will tell me it's God's will. No, like, it's something I can't take, I can't accept and everything. So she just started talking to me that that's the enemy, that the fear will come is natural, is normal. That the same thing when her dad died too, that was what they were all dealing with. Like, they were scared for their mom too, because of how close they were, and they were thinking, oh, is this how mom is going to go? Like, how will she survive it? And this was what she had experienced and suffered. And so she could talk me out of it, and she encouraged me, she prayed with me. And I just realized that at that point, it's so important to always have people around, support system, times when you need to really open up, like open up. There's nothing wrong with dealing with such emotions. It's a weakness, fine. You don't always have to be very strong. With those moments where you feel really down, where you really feel weak, other than praying and doing all expected of you as a Christian, you also need people to talk to pour out your mind to. Let them know that this is what you are going through, and share with them your fears, share with them those things that are troubling you. And I'm sure by the time you open up, you'll be able to get the needed help and counseling from them. And this is what Job too went through, because one of the greatest examples in the Bible of someone who dealt with loss that I think nobody deserves is Job. And we all know the story of Job. Job was a righteous man. He was in right standing with God. So it's not as if he did anything wrong or he committed any sin and what happened to him happened to him. No. It was just God testing, of devil going to God and asking God for permission to test Job's faith and to see whether truly he loves God, or maybe because of the things he had. And Job proved truly that he loved God, because he even told God that even if God should fail him, it's hard to still always trust God. That was what Job said to God. And Job too had those periods where he dealt with depression, where he questioned God, where he asked questions, where he dealt with his own sorrow. He was in a state where even nobody could reach out to him. And it was at that point he kept on crying to God, because even his friends, nobody could believe him. Like, why would you go through all those things if you've not done anything to wrong God? At a point, his wife told him, curse God and die. And when you get to that point, that even when people around you that are supposed to encourage you are not the ones encouraging you, Job had no choice but to run back to God. And God answered him, and God had that discussion with him. And we saw that at the end of the day, God came out and honored Job. And the later years of Job's life was greater than the beginning. And I just want to encourage us with what God told us in John 16:33. He says, I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So it's one of the life lessons that we'll always go through. Challenges will come. Dealing with, how will I put it, grief. These are things that is part of life. And God has assured us that we'll always overcome. The number of our challenges will always be the number of our victories. And whatever we're going through as children of God, it will always be for our own good. And that's when we need to keep talking to God, talking to people. Let That's why it's good to have the right friends around you, the right people, believers around you who can encourage you in those moments when you are down. You should have people that you know that they're of the same faith with you, that you can run to and they'll be able to encourage you. And God has been good. God has been faithful. Like I said, God really surrounded me with so much love from friends, from family. As in, it was overwhelming at that point in time because God really showed up for me and that really helped me. And God can't come down. He always use people around us. So that's why you should never feel shy. You should never feel like a weakening to open up, to talk to people when you're going through difficult times. Depression is real, mental illness is real, and if you don't voice out, if you don't speak out, if you don't talk about it, you won't get the needed help. And before you know it, like I said, it will drown you, it will swallow you, it will get to a point where, like I said, it got to a point I didn't want to live anymore. Like, life meant nothing to me anymore. And you won't know when you're going through that thing. Like I said, it's not something you plan for, it just happens. Like, many of us don't even know how we'll handle situations until things have happened to us. I remember laughing and telling my brother, I was just laughing, as it wasn't funny then. I told him, I said, I wish rapture can just happen now. Like, because I know suicide was not an option. So the only thing I was praying for at that moment was for rapture to happen so that I'll go see my dad. And my brother just laughed. But I told, like, everything I was feeling at that time, a point in time, I kept talking about, I kept sharing it. And I know that God is faithful. God will help us, God will strengthen us. Loss is not something that anybody prays for. Like I said, loss of a job, loss of a loved one, loss of a marriage. We deal with so different kind of loss in life. And God is able to restore all that have been lost. God is able to restore our joy. God is able to restore our peace. Thank you so much. God bless us and God continue to strengthen us and uphold us. He said He will never give us more than what we can handle. Whatever you're going through, know God knows that you are able to handle it and you'll come out victorious in Jesus' name. Thank you and see you again next week. God bless. Thank you.